Is it possible to replace and now pay for Godzilla? What is interesting is making a Christmas tree from emotions. And is it true that in the game mode you can make an endless heal with the help of a first aid kit? How are the people flying? You can now not only in the air but also on the ground. You only need to improve your skill and jump first on the trampoline. At this moment of takeoff, teleport to your point from the Mask of Emptiness in addition to a detailed review of your Skin Chica Plus. It ends there, that the delta opens when you want, and it remains to jump from any height. Experiments will be interesting, so let's go. The Winter Festival in the game gave us the return of the old and the appearance of new items. These are ice legs that can be activated at any time, but the ice will slide not like before. The grenade was thrown away, here it is more pliable, and the very ice grenade was rebalanced and now it creates a storm. Well, the most important feature of this ice is that you can run with it on the water, and from this one interesting experiment in real life, when falling into the water from a high altitude you will break because of the surface tension, but in Fortnite with you everything will be fine. Only when wearing ice on your legs you can walk on the water, which means that the same surface tension appears, only much stronger. Check whether you will break the water when falling from a height with ice on your legs, or you will survive despite the law of logic and physics. The question was long but very explanatory, so I went to climb to the height and see what will happen to my legs. Well, what can I say? The legs became part of my internal organs because I crashed and the legs took a colossal load here. It seems to me it didn't even help in the role. The very idea of running with ice on the water is not logical, but since we can run, we can crash. And that is logical, so my one advice is to be careful. Almost from the very beginning of the season, we have an OG mode where the old, literally everything from textures to weapons. And the saddest thing is that there are no particularly interesting mechanics, but there is parkour that has never been before. Well, judging by the comments, they made one interesting film with it in the video vids, and how the guys were able to make an endless pile of armor in the original mode just at the 1 minute mark using the same first aid kit makes parkour and everything should work out. This bug is old but appeared when the parkour system appeared, but here we are already trying to reincarnate it in the original mode. An intriguing plot, I suggest you watch it. There is only one problem, it is necessary to catch up, really good timing, but it turns out it is not always because every time you are afraid to lose the same first aid kit, and so it works and still. Only here there is a small feature. Let's come to the example of running for 50 armor from this bank. And we will not be able to make endless armor for one reason, it heals a stable 50 armor, no more no less. If only, of course you will not cancel, but the first aid kit can already heal more than 100, and most likely because of this we can really make an endless heal. Most likely any zone except the middle one I would be able to move. But personally, I will never be able to outsmart the assault disease that was created specifically for such talented people, and it is his cheat. When you do this bug, then another bug appears, only this one is visual. You have an icon of the used item left in your inventory. The most interesting thing is, the same bank armor is in your hand, but it says that there are no cartridges, therefore it is also impossible to apply. But if you think you are the smartest and want to clear the inventory, then nothing will fall out there. And the most important thing is that you need to keep the first agent in this endless walk in your hands. If you change weapons or want to build, the endless skill will disappear. Therefore, if you use it wisely. And so, Bob, said, last time Seize the Train helped us to take the new Gagarin into space. It was not a success, but the fact is, 1. The experiment was successful. This time too, the train did not stand aside and a little work was found for him. Well, the idea itself sounds like this. If you press the edge of the train where the doors are supposedly located, and during the ride you put the walls, then you can pierce yourself inside the train and it is allowed to make dirt there. Most likely, I mean that this is some kind of sheet of texture, and if this is the case, then you can really get dirty here. Well, let's check it out. As far as I understand, it is advisable not to do it in the last car because in fact there is no place to push, but in the middle there is a junction of two cars which we cannot see because they covered it with textures on the side. But inside there are small voids, But of course, without comfort, you will not be able to run or move, especially here, and you will have to get out in the same way as you climb. If you do it right, do it from this side, then you can spend about 50 resources, it may even be fewer. And if you do it closer to the center or in the center, then you can spend 1,000 resources and not climb. Well, there are often such moments where you can simply get out of this train on turns, but when we find the right pixels, they do not throw you out. They open, we can go without problems and shoot. Of course, the view is not 360 degrees, but still big. So if you use it in public, be careful, because for such a hat you can get a little Christmas tree. And this is not the one that usually stands with us for the new year in the houses, but the one that was recently in the item store. Surprisingly, with emotions, one day they wrote a lot of experiments and wrote so many ideas for only one reason. When you use this emotion, then you create a Christmas tree, and this Christmas tree remains on the map. And now I will have to develop a bunch of myths. The first most frequently asked question: how many such Christmas trees can you place, and can you build some kind of area? You will immediately have to disappoint many. Over time it disappears, but you can only put one. Also yes, but the Christmas tree cannot be put on some kind of car and go. It will stay in place, yes, it will hang in the sky, and most importantly, it will also be impossible to get on it, so you can fix your insidious plans. But there was still one interesting idea that I wanted to see when using emotions with a Christmas tree. The Christmas tree remains to stand further, and there is such a bowl where heavenly lanterns rise. Try to put your Christmas tree, you know, from that kind of when the Calentino is blown out, and then the animation of the animation. You know, it's interesting to look at, but it's unlikely that something will work out here. In general, as I suggested, nothing happened, and all because these objects do not have physics, it's just a visual and nothing more. The only thing you can try is to hide in a Christmas tree, but this is the maximum forbidden places for dancing. Before it was possible to laugh at the cuckoos, but not now. If you dance in such a place, it will take you and just kick. Well, according to the landing, the fifth point will become a hot point, and ask such a question where even I had to think about it. If I go to a place forbidden for dancing and put a hired NPC there and dance that you throw, if yes, then I don't even know what to answer. So let's conduct a clear experiment. And now the rules have already gone against the system. It seems that the rules are written in blood and each mortal goes down. But it turns out the NPC is immortal and the rules do not work on it as soon as I tried to substitute it, but never came out. But I can dance safely only when I break this sign. Here we really break the rules. There is no sign. You can dance, but there is no difference in the boots. So this is epic. It is necessary to refine now. Well, since you have watched so far, then you can subscribe to the content-worthy channel without going far from the cashier with this place. There was another question to check: at what height the Baron dancing will work in the forbidden place here. You don't need to come up with anything, just take and climb, and there we are already looking. This law to heaven does not spread, only the height is 3.5 meters, and there you are already, by default taken and kicked, you know where. So if you want to break the rules, either dance only with a boat or break the sign, or dance at an altitude of 4 meters. Well, let's talk again about frosty legs. This feature is not new but slightly modified. Before we used such grenades to make it harder for our enemy to advance, but now the effects are controllable and not so strong, and they only add benefit. You can even run on water, but don't think you can run far from the island. No derkash Well, they ask about the ice. Is it true that at the moment of jumping from the water, it is possible to use the ice and drinking it and stand like this on the water? As far as I understand, it's something related to the God mode, when you can stand on the surface as if on water. It is interesting to see. Let's take a look. In general, the idea is working, but it is not necessary to do as it is said. You can just run into the water to stop and remove the ice, and you will stand but not fall for a long time if you move, or just even stand up, you will immediately fall into the water. Even if you try to stand up and pick up and remove the ice, then you will not roll further and fall into the water at once, also for a full collection. Let's look at a few more experiments. Water gift, a cool amulet that helps you regenerate in the water. But what will happen if you walk on this water? Will the water take into account that you are swimming on it, or still? Not, but the idea sounded like this. Will the gift of water work with ice on the water? The question is 10 out of 10, so I propose to start testing. I try to implement different ways, and probably the most important thing is that you need to know when you stand in the water at least a little bit, the ice is not active. To my surprise, that they do not resort to a way to squeeze you out of the water if you use the ice in the water. Apparently, they were afraid of us exploit users. Therefore, running on the water, the aura of the water is not activated. Looking for a way out of this situation, the only thing you could resort to is this. Canvas there on the descent of the water. You could rub yourself into the textures, but this is just an animation. But it is impossible to take some privileges or buffs from this animation on the water because the Epic did not prescribe it. It's a pity that it looks like water, but it doesn't work like water. But then I feel it smells like some kind of life hack. But the idea sounds like this. Is it true that when you have ice legs and katana you can jump very high, especially on slope? How high you can jump is not yet clear. This is it, and so it allows you to boost well. But if this boost is much more significant, then this is an imba. Let's see. The saddest thing about this life hack is that you always need to find comfortable places for it, and they are not everywhere. But it really works. Well, the coolest thing I found out is that you can even use ordinary ramps for this, and you can even jump a little bit worse, and maybe even better. The height of the jump is more, 50 meters, and this means one thing, that you can fly into some kind of high build flight, take a hang glider, well, or see what's going on in the woods. Nevertheless, the main thing is that this method is safe. You won't kick your feet off. The method is good. I advise you to use it.
Thank you, friends. Subscribe to my channel, give it a like. See you in the next video.
This was Grubstory with you.